Hey, Judy.
Hey Lisa, how's it going?
It's going. Good, thanks.
Good, good. Beautiful day. Boy, oh boy, it's beautiful out there.
Speaking of the day, it is bright and sunny, which makes me think of yesterday, which was eclipse day.
Oh yes.
Did you see the eclipse?
No. On the news I did, but I've seen them before and it's not something that I live and die for, but did you watch it? Did you see it?
Well, Mom and Llewellyn and Craig and I and the kids all went down south of St. Louis back in 2017. We took a road trip just for a weekend and we saw the eclipse, the 100% eclipse there. And that was cool. And we had all our kids with us, the three kids, and that was fun. That was an event and very cool.
Sure.
So now it was like we weren't planning on going to it. Caden's at school, Luca's on his own, Aubrey was like, meh. And so I, however, was like, I'm still gonna see this thing. Now, I remember back in middle school, it was called junior high back then, and we made these little pinhole cameras. And I can remember going out there and being on the parking lot and being really underwhelmed with the whole pinhole concept, pinhole camera. So the teacher and me came out. I'm like, I'm going to make myself a pinhole camera. I'm going to look at it because they didn't have these glasses anymore. And so I cut a little hole in a piece of paper and I went out there at the right time. Nothing. Got back on the internet, looked at the pinhole camera. Maybe my circle's too big. So I made a smaller circle. Didn't work. So then it said, take a colander out and you'll get, a million little, things.
That's really a creative idea.
And I was like, whatever. So I'm like, it was kind of a weird, it looked like it was cloudy outside, but there were no clouds. It felt cloudy. It was a little just an odd color outside. And then I took Evie to the vet and they were talking about it behind the counter. And I said, hey, I saw the eclipse a few years ago. I said, but it was a miserable failure when I tried seeing it today. And so they were like, hey, we have some glasses here. You want to go out and see it? And I said, sure. So they gave me the glasses. Evie and I went out the front door, put the glasses on. I looked up at the sun. I was like, oh, kind of looks like a crescent. Yep, little black circle in front of the sun. That's kind of cool. That was it.
Yeah, I think I had a similar experience. I actually have a pair of glasses that I had lunch with some friends the other day, and the one came with a gift of those glasses for each of us. So I had a pair of glasses and
you didn't use them?
I didn't even think about it. I don't know what I was doing, but that was yesterday, right? Well,
Yes.
That was when I had, my son and his friend were home. So I didn't really think about doing. And like I say, the last time I really saw the whole thing. What was that, 2017? Yeah, I actually went out and witnessed the whole shebang. So I felt like I knew what that looked like. And
well,
I
but
did.
it wasn't 100% here where we live in Bumble, Wisconsin. So
Humble, Wisconsin. Well, that's a nice description, Lisa. No, it's a really interesting concept, and it certainly does prove the rotation of the Earth and all that kind of stuff.
It proves it if we needed any more proof, right?
Exactly. But the news coverage was very good. It was very interesting.
Very educational.
Yeah, so I enjoyed that. But I keep thinking they're saying this is once in a lifetime. Well, I'm still in the same lifetime and I've had two experiences, so I'm not sure what that means. Why do they say once in a lifetime? Because it's not. You'd have to be very little to have it be another, you know what I mean.
Yeah, and next time, what is it, in 3 years, if you want to go to Barcelona, it's going to be a really good viewing there. Or or Reykjavik, Iceland. That's another one. It's like, hey, I want to go to Iceland.
Never been. Your grandmother had been there, did that. She went to Iceland, but not to see a whatever.
You went to Iceland? Really?
She took a bus trip there.
No, she went to Nova Scotia.
Oh, she went to Nova Scotia. You're right.
You can't take a bus trip to Iceland.
It's an island.
Yes.
Yeah. You'd have to be
I
able
knew
to,
exactly what your mix up was there. It's like, no, she did not take a bus trip.
you know, when I don't go along, I don't remember, but I knew it was somewhere over there. So there's somewhat in the same locale, right?
Like, like, yeah, up and
Somewhat.
over. Exact,
Yeah,
somewhat.
yeah. Someplace I've
Vaguely.
never been. So Lisa,
Yes,
today we have a very interesting topic to talk about.
I have had so much fun researching and thinking and talking with people about this one. I can't wait.
Well, and I have personal experience with this one, having lost my husband almost exactly a year ago,
Mhm.
how my life has changed as far as friendships.
Yes, we are talking today about how and why and how you want to make friendships as a grown ass adult.
Mhm.
And it's not easy. And I guess I just want to say, first of all, if you aren't somebody who is dealing with friendship issues right now, you are a rare bird. Um,
Mhm.
the World Health Organization, the American Psychological Association, all the bigwigs are saying this is like of pandemic proportions in our
Mhm.
world, in our culture, and in our communities. We're
I
talking,
agree.
I mean, at all ages, but especially for older folks.
Well, I think as you and I talked previously, when you're younger, you go to school, you go to college, you have all kinds of events, you're on teams, you play soccer, you play volleyball, you do all the things.
That
And there's,
sleepovers, yes.
yeah, and there's a natural group of friends that you're interacting with. So it doesn't really take a lot of effort,
Mm-mm,
and
mm-mm,
those friendships, it's interesting how some people have those friendships that last a lifetime, but most people
mm-mm.
don't. I mean,
No.
I have many people that I was friendly with in high school and haven't kept contact. I have one girlfriend who was like almost my best girlfriend that lives like 3 blocks from here, and I don't see her except at class reunions,
Hmm.
which
Why is
is
that?
really neither one of us make the effort.
Yeah, exactly. Yep,
I
yep.
think that's it. And
Mhm.
yeah, I just don't think it's anything about either of us. I think
Right.
we care about each other, but I think up until now, like now I really have time to do that. Back then, when you're raising your kids and all that, you don't always have time.
Right.
Or
Well, and
you don't always make time.
exactly, exactly. And I think what you're referring to is that idea that we expect that friendship should be just organic. It should
Mhm,
happen. It should take no effort. Um, it's something that you're just lucky about. Things
mhm,
happen,
mhm,
friendships happen. And I think
mhm,
you're right. They do happen when you're thrown together with a bunch of people like especially in your late teens and your early 20s when
mhm.
you're, in school and you're in college and you're trying new things and you're all kind of lost, dazed, and confused, and you're really open to new experiences and new people because you really don't know who you are yet, right?
Exactly.
So
You're
you're
doing an
really,
exploration. You're joining a sorority. I know we have someone in our family who just did that very
yep.
successfully, and it was
Mm-hmm.
a great involvement, lots of friendships made. And she's graduating. I wonder how that will change.
I don't know. I mean, maybe she'll take some of those relationships with her, but research shows that probably most of them will drop by the wayside for
Mhm,
the
mhm,
distance because of different, some people will get married, some people will focus on careers, and you know, yeah, that really takes people to a different level, and you only have so much time in your life for the stuff of living.
mhm. I mean, I think we're an extremely lucky family because 4 of us get
Mhm.
together every week as sidetrack sisters.
Yes.
And we aren't just aunts, nieces, sisters. We are also best friends and we get
Mhm, mhm.
along extremely well. That's not the case in every family. So,
No, no.
I don't
Well,
think
even, and that can be a plus and a minus because when we go someplace together, we tend to huddle and we
Mhm.
don't tend to make, in
Outside friends
other
outside of our
friends.
foursome.
And people look at us and they go, oh, they wouldn't have time for me because they've already got each other.
Mhm,
Yeah.
mhm,
Mhm,
mhm. No, I think that's true. So I do think there's an upside and a downside to it, but I
mhm.
wouldn't give it up for life. It's
No.
just, been so important to me. It's been my my stable friendship that I can trust and count on. And I know these people so well, and I've known them all their lives. And I can't say my life because they haven't been there my whole life. But and it's just it's a group of like-minded people. We each know our history, and I think that adds to things. However, I don't think that's what we're talking about here.
And I think, I mean, some people, I think I've known some people who are able to call somebody from ancient history and pick up where they left off. Sometimes, you know, those kinds of people, whether it was somebody you went all through grade school, middle school, and high school with, or somebody you were in the military with, there are some situations where there are people that both my ex-husband and my husband have called like literally out of the blue and haven't talked to them for an eternity and just picked up where they left off. That happens.
I have a few friends like that. My friend Jackie, who lives in Missoula, Montana, coincidentally, she was married to my husband, and before I was married to him, she and I were very good friends. She trained me to be a teller in my first bank, and that friendship has really stood the test of time. I mean, I will call her out of the blue and we'll talk for hours, and we just pick up where we left off, and that is a really valuable friendship to me.
Yes. So, you know, I think the other thing is I just want to reiterate, you know, friendships mostly when you get to be our age, new friendships aren't organic. They are something that they don't happen by luck, but you really have to make an effort to be a friend. And that's what we want to focus on today. And you have a great example of somebody who has made, who is your friend, and you made this friendship, a woman you used to work with. Why don't you share that story of Beth?
Oh, Beth is just, I think she's an angel in disguise, because Beth worked in the, technically, I guess she was called like a hospital social worker, and I was doing guest services work, and we met that way. And then when my husband became ill, she and I became even closer, and we would discuss and so on and so forth. Well, when he passed, it was like, she was the mama robin taking me under her wing. I mean, she was so amazing. And she didn't wait for an invitation. She didn't wait for me to call her. One rainy night, she showed up at my doorstep with a chocolate shake and a strawberry shake, knocked on the door, rain dripping off of her baseball cap, and said, "Do you like chocolate or strawberry?" And she came in and we talked, and it was just lovely. And this was before Michael had passed. And so we just had, let me think about that. No, it was right after, but there were times before he passed where she came up. There was one day that she just appeared and said, "Hi, how's it going?" Came in and said hi to Michael. And she said, "Judy, you've been here like doing Michael care for a long time." She said, "How would you like just 2 hours to go run errands or get fresh air or stop and get something you want to do?" And I said, "Well, that would be lovely." And she said, "I got 2 hours, out you go." And just knew just what to do. It was so amazing. And there have been several times, like one night on a Tuesday night, she went to the um, loaves and fishes at the Lutheran church and picked up 2 meals. And she came up here. Now this was when I was alone, and we sat down and had dinner at my house. And she brought the food, and it was, you know, she just knew what to do. She invited me to go to a play of her son's, and we did all these wonderful things together that filled such a huge void for me. She was at my husband's funeral. She didn't know anybody there, just me. But she didn't care, didn't bother her a bit. She sat, she observed, she got to talk to people. I introduced her to people. But for the most part, she was just there. And she'd check in with me from time to time. "Are you doing okay? How's it going?" You know, this kind of thing. And I mean, and then when we couldn't see each other, we'd do texting back and forth. And I always knew I had a friend. And that is so reassuring. I mean, I can't even think of the dozens of things she did for me. She since left the hospital and works in Madison at the VA hospital. So now we do a lot of texting. I haven't seen her for a while. So now I think it's my turn to reach out and say, hey,
Mhm.
I've got a pot of chili, come on over. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
I definitely will not lose that friendship. So
Mm,
it was one of the things that probably got me through my major grief period when
mm,
Michael died. And that doesn't in any way demean my family. I mean, you guys were amazing. This was a little bit different. This was someone who wasn't there by relation. She was there
mhm.
by choice. And I think
Right.
that made a huge impression on me.
Mhm, mhm. Hmm.
Did I forget anything?
No, what it makes me think of is, the component that you're referring to that's so interesting is that you have used both texting and in-person stuff to maintain a relationship.
Hmm.
I think so often now we will buffer with social media
Hmm.
and or contact people through social media. And lots of people feel like social media relationships are very superficial, but you have a really deep, meaningful relationship because there is something about actually getting together with
I
somebody.
agree. If we hadn't had the personal connection and the times together and the things that she
Mhm,
did and I did, the texting would be superficial. It would be
mhm.
very surface in the
Right.
relationship. Mostly now it's just more or less a check-in, just to say, hey, haven't seen you for a couple of weeks. How you doing? And she'll answer back. And it's not the only aspect of the
Mhm,
relationship.
mhm.
It's an additional plus.
Yes, yes, exactly. Um, you know, the other place I think it's easy for people to meet friends is school and work. And Beth, you met through work.
Mm-hmm.
And, but let's say somebody's not working anymore. Like,
Mm-hmm.
when I was working as a teacher, I mean, I worked with a solid, fun group of people for
Mm-hmm.
25 years.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's like there is one of them, Ginny, and she does a beautiful job of bringing a small little group of us together on a
Uh-huh.
regular basis. Once or twice a year, five of us get together and we just talk about our lives. And, some of us are still teaching and some of us aren't. And it's just a really fun, and we're very different. And we actually most four of us live here in Wisconsin and one lives in Michigan now. And we still are able to get together at least once a year, all five of
No,
us.
I think that's great. That's
But it's
awesome.
it's one person who's saying, "Hey guys, it's almost Christmas. Does anybody want to get together for Christmas?" And she's just always putting it out there. And it's been so fun to, like, what would I do without Jenny? I mean, it's so
Mm-hmm.
wonderful. So that brings me to me and my instigation. I suck at instigating friendships and relationships and maintaining them. So, in researching this, I'm so proud of myself. I did an instigation. I did last night. So, I am going to be with Stella, my dog. She is part of a aging dog sensory study in Madison.
Oh, uh-huh.
And I'm going to be in Madison from 8 in the morning till about 2ish in the afternoon. And guess what? One of my friends who I see once a year through Ginny, she lives over on that side of Madison. She lives in Corona.
Oh, great opportunity.
So I've been thinking I should call her. I should call her. I should call her. I should
And you
probably call
called
her.
her?
I haven't until last night. I didn't call her. I texted her,
Mm-hmm.
and my text was not fancy. All I said was, "Hey girl, I'm going to be in your neck of the woods on Tuesday, April 30th. I'm taking Stella to this da 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 da. I have to drop her off at 10. I'm going to be in Madison till around 2ish. You wouldn't by any chance be able to grab coffee, breakfast, or an early lunch that day, are you? It'd be so much fun to get together." And almost immediately she said, I'm home on that day and would love to see you. Let's grab breakfast, and you are more than welcome to hang out at my house for the day if you need. Yay, can't wait to see you.
Oh, I love it. Isn't
You
that
know,
great?
it's like,
You know,
it felt so good.
I did something similar to that. Do you remember my friend Anne?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Anne was, and I worked in
Mm-hmm.
Columbus,
Yep.
and we didn't work together, but we had like adjoining offices, and we just
Yep.
got really close. We talked all the time, and I hadn't seen her like in forever, and we kept saying, "Oh, we should get together. Oh, we should get together," but we weren't getting together. So, I was able to send her a text that
Mm-hmm.
said, "Hey, I'm available next Friday, Saturday, or Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
I can provide lunch, breakfast, or dinner. You pick the times, and I just can't wait to see you." And just the same thing, almost instantly, she texted me back and said, "Sunday for lunch would be amazing. I'll be there around 11." And we
Mm-hmm.
sat from 11 until 5 in the afternoon and just talked. It was so great. It was lovely. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
sure, but I actually did that too, and you did it too. So
Yep.
applause to both of us.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, we made an effort and it paid in spades. And,
Yes.
it wasn't just, oh, we should get together sometime. It was, I'm available these
I'm
2
going to
days.
initiate this. I know I want to. It's, what was the worst thing she could say is, oh, damn,
I'm busy that
I'm
day.
busy that day.
Yeah.
And
then you do another offering, but I think it's really important, instead of just someday we should get together, being
yeah.
specific, putting a date there, putting a time there, and even putting a place there. I mean, like you said, go to coffee or go to breakfast or something of that nature,
Mhm.
and a definite plan. So you have to have a plan, not just oh, I should. Remember, you said that word about 4 times when you were doing your little story, and I've used it so often myself. I should make a connection. I should do this. I should do that. No, you shouldn't. You need to do it. Don't talk about it. Yeah.
Okay, so we've been talking about people who we've known through work again. So the next thing I want to talk about is, how do you make new friends? How do you not just continue or reestablish old friendships, but how do you make new friendships? And the suggestion that I thought was just so wise in this was, really look at what you like to do and go out and do those things. And often, if you like to do something, there might be a group or a club, some kind of activity or organization that supports and encourages. There's somebody who's put together a group of like-minded individuals. Now, when I was really week after week interviewing people who wrote memoir, lots of those people had online writing groups that they were part of. But it doesn't have to be an online group. It can be an in-person group. Like here in our little burg, there are book clubs. There are garden groups. I would love to start a writing group.
We have a mini writing group, but that's a little different.
Yeah, I'd like to expand it. I was listening to a podcast about a woman who was talking about moving. I mean, as adults, we aren't in school. Maybe we've moved to a new community. Maybe we've changed jobs. How do you make friends? And this woman was talking about how she had done it. She said it was during the pandemic that complicated things even more. And she moved into an apartment complex, and she introduced herself to her neighbors, and she wanted to know how they would recommend she get to know people in this complex. And they said, well, we belong to a cat group. And this woman did not have a cat, but she invited herself to the cat group. And over the next several weeks, it became a cat and social group. So it was during the pandemic, so people were meeting out in the courtyard, but because of her and her willingness to engage and make the effort, it expanded into more than it was before. And so what kinds of things do you like to do? And make the effort to find other people that like that same stuff.
I graduated from high school in 1967. And we've done the 5-year, the 10-year, all of that kind of stuff. But what we found is that the 5 years in between, just was too long a period of time for some of us. And there was a bunch of us that were still local. So we have one really good instigator that she called us the Beaver Babes, and she said, okay, we're going to get together once a year and we're going to do this and this and this. And she would send it out to the group and we would respond, and anywhere from 10 to 20 people will show up for that. And it's just gotten to be really, really fun because there's fun again, but it is fun. We catch up with each other. And it's interesting to me that when we were going into high school, the parochial schools in town only went to 8th grade. So they joined the high school, which was
Ninth grade.
And well, actually, in my case, it was 10th grade because 9th was still at the junior high. But the people that seem to show up for this group now, I'd say 80% of them are from the parochial schools.
Really?
So apparently they had a closer bond than the rest of the group, but it doesn't matter. We just come and we bring as many of our friends as we can. And during the pandemic, we met at a park where we brought a lawn chair, and we each got brought a sandwich, and we sat and talked and had lunch, and it was really nice. So we do have that going. And again, some key point that I keep hearing is there's an instigator.
Oh,
and that
yeah.
instigator is so critically important. I think sometimes I think, oh, I'm too busy to plan something with this bunch of people. But one person or two people say, I'm not too busy, I'll get this together, and it works.
And really, to get together and have lunch at a park, or I mean, what I did was I instigated, I just said coffee, breakfast, lunch. I did, this is the day I'm going to be there, but it doesn't take, I mean, it takes effort. It does take effort.
Yeah. And there's that thought of, oh, I'm too busy for us to have to reschedule and to do this and to do that. And it really, truly, that is an avoidance technique. It's not really it's a perception that becomes a reality, but it's not a reality.
Yeah. And I guess what you just said was something that I wanted to talk about, and it's called this in a TED talk I was listening to. They talked about covert avoidance.
Oh, that sounds like a spooky.
Well, she said, not only do you want to show up to events like a class or an organization, an event, an activity, but you also need to engage. And she said, we talk about, the kids, how kids are always on their cell phones, and how they're participating, or they're at a family event perhaps, but they're not engaging because they're on their phone. Well, we do this too as adults. We just do it differently. So you can go to an activity and you can be a wallflower,
Right.
Nobody came over to talk to me. You're not the one who is, you've got to go and you've got to engage. That's
exactly. You've got to be a participant, an active participant. And if you're not, the value is diminished.
Yes.
It's diminished for you and it's diminished for the other people, because they don't get to hear what you have to share. And conversely, you don't get to hear what they have to share. And if you do, you're not interacting with it. So it isn't really very helpful. I think there's also, we've talked about, I mean, you can, if you belong to a church, or if you want to belong to a church is a great place. A lot of churches have organized groups that get together. I know for years I belonged to book club, but there was the Christian education leader from the church led the book club.
Right.
When she moved away, the book club disappeared. Yeah, although there's probably half a dozen of those people that still communicate with each other, but it's not at the same level, so I think the most important thing I can say, remember your old friendships and get over the fact that you want to hesitate about new friendships.
Well, okay. And so that's the last point that I wanted to cover today, Judy. And that was something that, once again, I'm going to refer to this TED talk that I listened to. She was talking about how one of the components that causes us to hesitate and to not make the effort is called the liking gap. And I was
Okay.
telling you about this study that she was referencing. Don't know what study it was. I'm just going to reference it without any reference.
We
She
give you
said,
permission to do that.
okay, thank you. She said, studies have been done where a person comes and they are going to be, of course, they're told they're being studied for one thing, but they're not actually being studied for that. They are told they're going into a group of people, and this is a very friendly group of people. You're going to love this. It's going to be fun and easy. They're talkative. They like people. They're just a really great group of people. You're going to do this and this and this activity together. Well, then afterward, they're asked about, did these people like you? Did you like them? So on and so forth. Another person is brought into the same situation, the same group of people, and they are told, okay, here is your activity you're going to do. It's going to be a bit challenging because this is a really tough group of people. They are kind of, they don't make friends easily, or what the language is, I don't know. But they were given the exact opposite
recommendation or introduction.
What this group was going to be like. And as you probably already foresaw, is that they're, at the end, they saw the group as being colder. They were perceived as being withdrawn. I mean, it was a two-way street. Not only did the person who was going into the study see the groups as they were presented, but they reacted in ways that you would, of course, when the warm group, the person came across as warm and outgoing. And when the person came into the group that was cold and distant, that person went in cold and distant. So how we expect to go into a group, this is going to be fun. I went into, this was many years ago, I took an art class. I was like, this is going to be great. I'm going to have a fun time. I'm going to learn something. And I'm never going to use this for a job, but I've always wanted to do this and I'm going to do it. I mean, we had to do all those exercises, about where you turn your paper upside down and you turn a picture upside down and then you draw it upside down and then you turn everything back around and see how well you did. And we did grid drawing where once again, we took like a picture of a lion and put a grid on it and then put the grid on our paper and, focusing on the parts of the picture instead of drawing a tiger. Or we did still life. We did
fun.
All of those things. And it was fun. I had a great time. And I expected I would go in and have a great time. Your bias is the predictor of the outcome.
No, I think that's so true. And I think it's important, no matter what the person suggesting that group to us says, as far as their perception, my practice has been to keep my mind open so that I can develop my own perception. Because what I find is very often, like in my job that I had at the hospital, I used to get told that, oh, don't go into that room to visit those people, because I would round on the third floor. They're not very friendly. They're kind of aggressive. They're this or that. And I used to say, okay, thank you for that. And I'd go into the room anyway. And some days those visits were the best visits of the day, and I usually didn't find them to be aggressive or hard to talk to or whatever. Generally, it was because I had open-ended questions, so they would talk about themselves. And they would like that a lot. So I really caution myself, don't go into this meeting with a pre-planned outcome. Go into it open-minded and just see what happens, and you almost always make a good time by having a good time yourself. So, and another suggestion I have to make is get rid of the desire to judge. People are who they are. They do as they must. They do what they see they need to do, and that has nothing to do with you. So taking it personally and thinking, ooh, they didn't care for me, or I didn't come across so well. Hey, get rid of that. That's in your head. That's your thought. And so what ends up happening is the group reacts in a way like that. I'm being a little too philosophical here for my knowledge base, but that's been my experience, you know. And so I think when you talk about friendships are not organic, sometimes you find a friendship where you never expected to. And sometimes those are the most interesting. I have a neighbor on each side of me here, where I live, that are both so interesting, and they're different one from the other. And they bring so much to my experience in this home. So, you know, and the one, we really have no commonalities. We didn't attend the same school. We didn't have a same similar line of study, but oh my goodness, I find her fascinating and she me. And so I guess I want to say to people, instead of, yes, it's nice to find people that have like interests. That's awesome.
Mhm.
But you go into a, say, a book club, and say you have one person who loved the book and another person that hated the book. And you go, oh, well, I'm not going to listen to that one who hated the book because I liked it. Get rid of the judgments. Accept that person for who they are. And what you'll find out is that the opportunity for friendship is much greater.
Hmm.
What do you think?
I think so. You got a good point. I think we've covered this well, Judy.
I think so too.
You know, I don't want to be lonely myself. I've struggled with friendships in the past because of lack of effort, but really, you are in a similar situation. You know, you're in a life change situation where now you need to say, yeah, I need to make an effort and, you know, make your life full again because Michael is passed. And, you know, there's a kind of a grace period. And of course, you're still in that in terms of it, you know, dealing with that loss. But one of the ways to deal with the loss, deal with the change, deal with, you know, life is to move forward.
Replace it with something positive. Replace it with something new and interesting and that kind of thing. And I think, you know, the other thing I wanted to say is I think part of our cultural lack of friends, and this has happened like in the last 3 or 4 places that I've lived. If you're working or not working, you come into your driveway, you have an electric garage door opener, you put the car in the garage, you come into the house,
Yeah.
you have absolutely no reason to be outside of the house to even see your neighbors to say hello, goodbye, or whatever. It's very easy to hermit in your house. And, you know, you can turn on TV, you can listen to music, you can do a webinar on the computer.
Which are all
There
wonderful things.
there's all sorts of things you can do. However, none of those things have the human warmth that a friendship will bring to you, whether it's an old friend, a new friend, or a tomorrow friend. So I think I want to say, get out of your car at the mailbox and go walk a half a block and see who's outside and say hello, you know, instead of just immediately being too busy. Watch how you choose to spend your time, because
Well, you
making
know, I
friends.
mean, mother always laughs because when we're up in Door County and I'm walking the dogs, I know all of the dogs and I know all the dog owners and they know me. And, you know, I'm the, when Evie and Stella ran away the other day, people know me because of my yellow vest and my two dogs. I mean, I put out a Facebook call for, you know, help finding my dogs, and yeah, people were like, I know her. I mean, strangers knew me because of being out and about. It was lovely.
I think that was so cool. I think you had like, help correct me. Did you have like 35 responses to that Facebook
It was
post or
crazy. I
something?
don't remember the exact number,
Oh,
but
I
yeah,
mean, we've complained about not getting commenting on some of our posts when we do sidetracked, but maybe we need to think about that. Maybe we need to get known a little bit better. And we're starting to talk about that. So
yeah.
I think, you know, hey, want a friend, be a friend was the slogan I always heard. Yeah.
Make the effort. Yeah. And
Yep.
I guess I also like the engagement, you know, don't just just don't go, don't just
This
explore,
is
but
not a television program. This is a group of friends getting together to meet. So
yeah.
interact, you know, share your thoughts. Don't,
And
you
ask
know,
questions. Yes, ask questions, be interested, be interesting and be interested. Yeah.
yes, yes. I think we have some great advice. I think we're going to have a bigger group of friends now than ever. What,
Okay, Judy, I think we're gonna knock off here
this has been
and
great.
it's been fun. So
Really
take
enjoyed
care
it.
and we'll talk to you later.
Okay. Looking
Okay, love
forward to
you.
being a friend. Okay.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
bye-bye.